Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate and today I'm going to be teaching you how to paint this easy watercolor brick house. Let's get started. We are going to start this painting by drawing our landscape. So I've already drawn my landscape out on my watercolor paper and I'm quickly going to show you what I did so that you can recreate the same drawing. I just started with drawing a slanted line down my paper starting at the top left going down to the right, and then at the bottom right I'm going to be drawing a house that is just a triangle for the roof with a long rectangle off the back and then a little chimney on the top, and then just a basic house coming down where it's just going to be a little box in the front and then another triangle coming underneath that side roof. You'll just see me kind of sharpening up the edges here for you to see. And that's really it for our brick house. I add a door to the right side of the house and then a window on the center of the left side of the house. If you'd like a still image of this picture, just head over to my blog where I'll have that over there for you to take your time and draw this sketch the way you like it. Now that we have our picture in place, we can begin painting. So for this first step, it is very easy. We are just going to fill up our entire house except for the roof with clean water. So the side of the house and then the front of the house, just use clean water, fill it up, and then over the entire house, we are going to drop in a very light wash of burnt sienna. And then right in that side window, we are going to drop in some yellow ochre just to give that window kind of like a shine, like there's a light glowing coming out. So you can do it either way. You can put the yellow in the window first or after. Since we're doing wet on wet, it's all going to blend together and give us just that background that we want our brick house to have before we start layering up those bricks. For this step, we are going to take our small round brush and we are going to paint in each brick square using two different colors. So the first color is burnt sienna, and I'm going to mix just a little bit of Payne's gray in that just to give it a more deep rusty tone. And then the second paint color I'm going to use is burnt sienna with a lot of Payne's gray, and this is going to give it a very brown dark tone. And so all you're going to do now is you are going to start painting in little squares and kind of a pattern. I tried to keep my darker brown ones away from each other and the lighter orange ones away from each other. So I tried just going back and forth and creating kind of a pattern just to give the house some variety. But as you'll see, I'm just doing tiny little uneven squares and rectangles for each brick, and you are just going to apply this all around the base of the house, avoiding the window and the door and the roof. So you're going to go all the way up the chimney and just take your time. It can be a little bit tedious, but in the end, it's going to look great. Once your bricks have completely dried, we can start painting in our roof. So we're going to start this step by filling up our entire roof with clean water. Then I'm going to use a mixture of Payne's Gray and Ultramarine Blue to create a really dark navy blue color. And I'm going to start by outlining the top of my roof with this dark color and then pulling that color down, kind of making line motions because I want them to be uneven. I want this to look like a metal roof, so I don't want it to be completely flat, and I want to still see some of that white coming through just to give a little bit of texture to this roof. So after I did that, I went back over the top part of my roof and then I outlined the sides on either side of the far part of the brick house, and then I outlined the bottom of the roof as well. So you'll see that I have the entire roof completely outlined with that navy blue color, and then that center of the side of the roof is me pulling that paint downward to give the roof its color, but also to give texture. While we have this color on our brush, we are going to go ahead and fill in our door as well. So our door and our roof are going to be the same color, but the door is going to look a little bit different just because we're going to use a very thick wash to fill it in. And then if there's any extra paint on your brush, feel free to just continue to add more lines to your roof to give it a darker tone. But other than that, if your roof is where you want it, leave it and you are good to go. We can move on to our landscape. We are now going to go in with a dry brush technique and fill in our mountain and the foreground underneath our house. So all you have to do is fill up your brush with some Payne's Gray paint, and then using a paper towel, get as much paint as you can off your brush, and then start scratching that color into your paper with a downward motion, kind of coming down the mountain and then flattening out where the plane flattens out. And just by scratching this pink color into your paper, the texture on the watercolor paper is just going to give a very natural look of rocks or just the texture underneath the snow of this landscape. And it's a very easy technique, and it can really add a lot of depth to your painting. After this, we're going to add some shadowing, so you're going to want all of your dry brush technique to dry before you move on. We are now just going to fill up the bottom of our landscape with clean water, and then we are going to tap in a very light wash of Payne's Gray to just give the natural shadows underneath the house as well as on top of the snow of our landscape. I do this in almost every one of my winter landscapes, so if you've seen my channel before, you're very familiar with how this technique works. So you just want to tap in a little bit of the darker color closer to the house, and then just add random spots where you add those shadow lines. And it'll really, again, just add depth to this painting and help it not feel so flat. We are now going to add our sunset into our landscape. So you're going to see that I already had a sunset in place, but I absolutely hated it. And I'm going to show you how I fixed that sunset, as well as letting you know that you can complete the exact same sunset with a clean page to start with. So to begin, fill up your entire sky area with clean water. And then you can go in at the very bottom of the sky with yellow ochre paint on your round brush and just start painting in that color on the bottom third of your sky. I like to use a round brush for this step so that I can carefully avoid touching the roof of my house and just kind of carefully working behind it. Then once you have your yellow ochre in place, switch over to a flat brush and fill it up with Alzerian crimson paint. And using this red or pink paint, you can start filling in the second, third layer of our sunset. And then you want to blend the yellow and the red together where they meet. And then once you have that red paint in place and blend it into the yellow, you can switch over to your ultramarine blue paint mixed with just a little bit of Payne's Gray and add that to the top of your sky. And then once again, you're going to blend that blue and that red together in a nice even tone, just to give a very blended look throughout our sunset. And then once you have these colors in place, you can be good to go. If you like, you can go back and adjust it by blending things in a little bit more or by dropping in a little bit more paint. It's really up to you and how your painting is coming along. So once you have those colors in place, just let it dry and we can move on to our last step. To finish off our painting, all we're going to do is add a couple patches of grass popping up through the snow. So all you're going to do is take your small detail brush and fill it up with a mixture of sage green and black, and then just add these little patches on either side of the house and in random spots all along your landscape. And then once these little pieces of grass are in place, just take some clean water and blend out the bottom so that they each have a nice natural shadow underneath them, just again to give depth and to give it a natural feel. And then once all these areas dry, your painting is complete. Hey everyone, thanks for painting with me today. I hope you liked this tutorial and found it helpful. If you did, please subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. If you'd like any extra details on this painting, like the supplies that I used or the paint colors that I used, head over to my blog, Reflecting Creation. I'll have a link in the description box below. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.